Mr. Dai and Mrs. Mai's family were the poorest in Vinh Pha village. Not only were they poor, but they also had many children, making their lives incredibly messy and chaotic. Though only in their 40s, they already looked like old folks. Life in the countryside was hard, food was meager, and they suffered 2 consecutive crop failures. On top of that, they had 7 children to feed and clothe, which was a constant struggle. Because of this, their children only studied until high school, then dropped out to help their parents. Fortunately, all of Mr. and Mrs. Dai's children were obedient, hardworking, and healthy, rarely falling ill. This was the greatest comfort for the couple. The whole family relied on Mr. Dai's small plot of land. Mrs. Mai was from another village, so she didn't own any land. Therefore, the couple worked odd jobs every day, hiring themselves out wherever they could find work, but it was usually just enough to feed themselves. Yet in that dilapidated straw and mud house, laughter always echoed. Their 7 children also loved their parents and always listened to their elders. The couple found great solace in this. Mr. Dai looked at his wife and joked, "Honey, our house may lack material wealth, but it's rich in love. Every time I see the children eating well and sleeping soundly, lying there like little piglets, I sometimes think maybe we should have a few more kids to liven up the house. Perhaps a dozen more. Who knows, maybe we'll be honored someday, or even get government support. Honey, have you heard about that family who had 7 children at once and received a lot of support? We also have 7 children, but nobody helps us raise them." Mrs. Mai, still cradling their youngest child, Duck, on her arm, lay on her back, gently shaking her head, her voice full of annoyance. "Where did you get that idea? Giving birth to 7 children at once is different from having them one after another like us. If you want more kids, I'll go along with it, but we have to raise them, don't we? Our family is already poor, and with so many children, don't you think they're missing out? Our 2 eldest children had to drop out of high school, and now they're working as bricklayers with you. Look at kids their age, they don't have to worry about food, clothes, and money, but what about our children?" She grumbled, then suddenly fell silent, her eyes widening. "Why did I fall asleep so easily tonight? It's so strange. Other people try so hard and can't have kids but us. I think from now on, you and I should sleep separately, otherwise we'll be in trouble." But Mr. Dai was incredibly optimistic. "Oh dear, heaven creates the elephant, heaven creates the grass. Heaven never closes anyone's path. Our life may be hard, but it's joyful, isn't it, honey? Our house, though crowded, is always filled with laughter. And our 2 eldest children are already working and earning money to help us. Lan, she's practically the main breadwinner now. Tham, only a year younger, is also quite active and hardworking. With 4 hardworking people in our family, it won't be long until things stabilize. A river has its bends, and a person has their destiny. We just haven't reached our destined good fortune yet." Mrs. Mai pouted at her husband, saying nothing. Mr. Dai continued, "And what about us? In the future, thanks to you, if we need anything, I just have to shout, and all our children will rush to help, each lending a hand. Isn't that better than a family with only 1 or 2 children? Haven't you seen in Vinh Pha village how many people spend fortunes trying to have a child and still can't, like that Ngok from around here? A few years ago, he finally had a daughter after spending so much money seeking prayers everywhere. Do you know how much it cost to have her?" Mr. Dai looked at his wife, then at his children, his eyes filled with immense pride and affection. He'd been married for nearly 20 years, accumulated a lot of wealth, only to spend it all on expensive fertility treatments just to have 1 child. Our family might be a bit poor, but with many children and grandchildren, isn't that more joyful? And do you know how much Ngok's family spent to have 1 child? Mrs. Mai listened in silence as her husband rambled on, not bothering to ask or respond. Mr. Dai then continued, "Ngok told me it cost over 300 million dong to have a child. And the couple had to take so much time off work, going to various clinics, even flying to the south to some specialized maternity hospital. Why do you care about other people's business? Ngok's family is well off, so they could afford it, but other families, where would they get that kind of money? You should be proud of our family, honey. We have 7 children. If it were like Ngok's family, costing 300 million dong per child, then our family, doing a rough calculation, it's over 2 billion dong already. This is something to celebrate, so we have something to talk about tonight. Honey, do you want another 300 million dong?" Mr. Dai said, laughing, then looked at his wife and glanced at his children, his eyes full of optimism. Don't worry, our family may be a bit poor with many kids, but we're happy. A harmonious family, husband and wife, children, it's okay to suffer a little. A river has its bends, a person has their destiny. No one stays rich forever, and no one stays poor for 3 generations, so why worry, honey? Mr. Dai tried to console his wife, but Mrs. Mai still sighed mournfully, as if wanting to say something to him but remained silent, turning her gaze towards their eldest daughter, her eyes filled with sadness. Seeing his wife like that, Mr. Dai asked, "What's wrong? Ever since you came home from work yesterday, you've seemed to have something on your mind. Is there something you can't tell me? Tell me, I'll listen. We've been together for nearly 20 years, why can't you talk to me?" Mrs. Mai sighed, her eyes welling up as she looked at her eldest daughter, Lan. Then she turned to her husband and softly said, "Do you know Long, Mrs. Lian's son from the village?" "Long, Mrs. Lian's son? I remember him. Isn't he the unruly, mischievous one who dyes his hair green and red? The one who recently drove his motorbike on one wheel and sped past our house?" Mr. Dai asked, surprised. Mrs. Mai nodded in confirmation and softly said, "That's him. I heard he went to the city to learn hair and nail art, and now he's back. His mother is opening a salon for him in the village. What he does is his family's business. Why are you bringing him up, honey? Is Mrs. Lian going to ask us for money? I thought we'd paid her back everything a long time ago. We're working for her family now, but she hasn't said anything about money, has she?" "It's not about money, honey. I'm worried about Lan. She's been acting strange lately. She avoids me somehow, her behavior. It's like she's hiding something." Mrs. Mai stopped, looking down at the storage shed not far away, where her 3 eldest daughters were sleeping. Mai had a feeling that something terrible was about to happen to their family. Her youngest son, Tran, who was over 3 years old, was sleeping soundly. Mrs. Mai sighed and told her husband, "Our Lan, she's been paying a lot of attention to her appearance lately, as if she's interested in Long. But that boy is wild and hangs out with bad company. How can he be a good match for our Lan? Besides, Lan is only 16, she's still very young. Young girls are often dazzled by flashy, sweet-talking boys who know how to charm. I'm very worried." Hearing this, Mr. Dai burst out laughing and told his wife, "That's normal, honey. Girls mature at 13, boys at 16. Lan is over 16 already. It's only natural for boys to notice her. That's a good thing. We wouldn't want her to become an old maid, unmarried. That's what I'd worry about most. Remember, I was interested in you when you were still a little girl. You shouldn't worry so much, honey. I married you when I was 17, right? This is no big deal. Back then, I even wooed you when you were still in your mother's womb, didn't I? I think you were only 15 or so. What's the fuss?" Mr. Dai looked at his wife, smiling playfully, not taking her worries seriously. "But Lan's behavior lately is really strange. Just now, I saw something in her hand. It turned out to be a gift box, and inside there was perfume and even a mobile phone. The more I asked, the more she said Long gave it to her. What should we do now, honey? If we don't handle this quickly, it'll be a disaster. I'm so worried. I just have a bad feeling about that Long. And I heard villagers say he killed someone and went to jail a while back. What if?" Mr. Dai fell silent for a moment, then looked down at the shed where his eldest daughters were. Lan was over 16 this year. In the countryside, many young men from other villages would eye and court girls her age. Mr. Dai and Mrs. Mai had children one after another, so their daughters looked like they were almost the same age. Tham, the second child, was over 14 this year, but already had the figure of a young woman. After a while, Mr. Dai said, "Don't worry, honey. It's good that our daughter is getting attention from someone else. It would be shameful if she grew up and no one noticed her, and we had to support her for life. Now, sons get wives and daughters get husbands. That's perfectly normal. Didn't we get married when we were only teenagers? Besides, Mrs. Lian's family is known for lending money with interest, but she hasn't treated us badly. I remember several times when I had to take you to give birth, I still went to her house to borrow money, didn't I? She also occasionally gave our children gifts and clothes, so she's not all bad." "Don't say that, honey. Are you just going to let it be? What if that Long is playing with her and she ends up getting hurt? You know nothing can be kept secret in Vinfa village." Mrs. Mai continued to sigh. "It's just that now we're working for Mrs. Lian's family, and I don't want Lan getting involved with that Long. I just have a bad feeling about him. It's truly strange. Doesn't Mrs. Lian have twin sons who look exactly alike? Long just appeared out of nowhere and scared me to death. I thought a ghost had appeared. What happened then? Mr. Dai then looked at his wife and asked, just a few days ago, Mrs. Lian's family held a feast because relatives came to visit. She insisted you and Lan stay. When you entered her house, you saw a picture on the altar that looked exactly like Long, right? And at that moment, Long also appeared and stared intently at you, which scared you half to death. Only then did you realize his twin brother had just died not long ago. And now you're still scared, especially of Mrs. Lian. I just have a bad feeling about her family, and her house is so old and eerie. And for the past few days, our house has been strange. Strange? What's strange, honey? Tell me, I'll listen. Our hen crowed. It's not even morning yet. Only roosters crow, hens don't. Are you losing your mind? I'm serious, honey. For the past few nights, I've noticed our hen, the one nesting, crowing every night. And it's so strange, every time I walk by, it stares at me, craning its neck and letting out strange squawks. Mr. Dai was stunned, finding it hard to believe what she was saying, as it defied nature's rules, so he just shook his head slightly. But Mrs. Mai continued, "That's not all. Once I saw a snake in our yard walking on 2 legs. It was truly bizarre. I think something ominous is about to happen to us. Those animals, they're acting so strangely, I'm truly worried." Hearing his wife, Mr. Dai immediately said, "My dear, don't you trust me? Would I make something like this up? I even asked Mrs. Lian about it." After a moment's thought, Mrs. Mai sighed deeply. What did she say then? She must know about these things, surely. Mrs. Lian told me to check the hen. If it's white, someone in our family will suffer a water-related accident. If its comb is red, it's related to fire. But if it's black, it means there will definitely be a death in our family. I checked it, and the hen is black, honey. I'm so scared. I've been thinking about this for days, and I don't know what to do. Mr. Dai fell silent for a moment, then asked his wife, what did she say about the snake? Mrs. Mai burst into tears and replied, about the snake walking on 2 legs, Mrs. Lian said it means someone in our family will die soon. She told me to be careful, that it's an omen. I'm so scared. I've been sick with worry about this for days. If these things are true, what are we going to do? I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling about Lan and Long. Oh, nonsense. Omens and all that rubbish. I should have butchered that hen a long time ago. We haven't had meat in ages anyway. I wanted to cook a pot of chicken porridge for the kids. If a hen crows, the only solution is to put it in the pot. I think this omen just means we'll have a good meal tomorrow. Mr. Dai laughed, trying to reassure his wife, seemingly unconcerned by her stories. A moment later, he continued, "You're overthinking it. It's just that their house is big and has few people, so it feels that way. Ghosts? What ghosts? I wish I could meet one to see what it's like. Don't think so much, you'll get sick. If you get sick, I don't know what I'll do. It's all just coincidence, honey. Don't pay too much attention to it." But Mrs. Mai's deep sigh indicated that she was still full of worry. But Lan's behavior is different too. It's like she... Before she could finish, Mr. Dai cut her off. "Oh, why do you overthink it and give yourself a headache? We have children, we must protect them. A boy is like a bamboo stick. He'll poke wherever he wants. Flirting is one thing, but whether something actually happens or not is another. You shouldn't exaggerate so much. Besides, I still trust Lan. She's a thoughtful girl. She's not like other spoiled girls who demand things. Haven't you seen how hardworking and obedient Lan is? She's never done anything to disappoint us, has she?" Mr. Dai said, trying to calm his wife. Despite his words, Mr. Dai had an uneasy feeling about Long, Mrs. Lian's son. Long, nearly 30, was truly a prodigal son. He was a playboy, arrogant, and destructive. The unfortunate thing was that Mrs. Lian and her son lived alone, and she spoiled him terribly. Back in the early 2000s, when Long was in high school, Mrs. Lian bought him everything: a genuine red Honda Sonic motorcycle, a manual import from Thailand, worth more than a piece of land. She also bought Long a gold-plated Nokia 8800, a slider phone made with premium materials exclusively for the elite. Mrs. Lian never thought that her son was spoiled. She just indulged his every whim and easily met his demands. The exact cause of the conflict with his girlfriend was unclear, but in his 11th grade year, Long and a notorious gang leader from his school arranged to meet in the restroom to settle a dispute. Long ended up stabbing the gang leader to death on the spot. The incident shook the entire village, and Long was sentenced to prison for a period. Not long after his release, Mrs. Lian sent Long to the city to study hairstyling, intending to open a salon for him at the village crossroads. Mrs. Lian's family was wealthy, and she had 2 twin sons. Perhaps because she spoiled them too much, both sons were unruly. Long had just returned from prison, and his younger twin brother, Lan, had recently died from a drug overdose. Everyone in Vinh Pha village knew these stories. Mr. Dai, being a villager and about a decade older than Long, knew all the details. Sometimes, Mrs. Lian would call him over for work, so she confided in him. Mrs. Lian, though wealthy, was kind-hearted and a bit superstitious. She treated Mr. and Mrs. Dai well, often helping their poor family with many children, creating opportunities for them to earn more money to support their family. "I'm just telling you this now, honey, otherwise you'll regret it later. This is no laughing matter," Mrs. Mai sighed deeply, looking at her husband. She seemed to feel that there was something ambiguous about her daughter, even suspecting Lan was pregnant with Mrs. Lian's son, Long. However, fearing her husband and not being entirely sure, she just hinted at it. "It's late, you have to stay calm. We're working for Mrs. Lian's family now. If we make her angry, it could cause trouble. But Dai, you should talk to our daughter more. As a man, it's sometimes hard to talk about certain things. And that Long, he's quite stubborn. We need to choose our words carefully and see what Lan thinks. By the way, why haven't we seen Long for a few days? And why did he used to call me Anne, older brother, but now he calls me Chu Dai, Uncle Dai, and your mother Ko Mai, Aunt Mai? It turns out he's interested in our daughter. Could we really become in-laws with Mrs. Lian's family? Who knows, maybe they're destined to be together like us back then. Your parents forbade you from marrying me, didn't they? Knowing how poor and difficult life with me would be, you wouldn't have married me, would you? Raising 7 children in such poverty, it's hard enough. And when we had good times, who enjoyed them? How many times did I ask you if you wanted to be happy, and you always nodded your head profusely, didn't you? Why didn't you say what you're saying now?" Mr. Dai looked at his wife, smiling playfully, extremely optimistic, while Mrs. Mai still seemed worried, letting out a sigh before saying, "Let's go to sleep. Tomorrow we still have to go work at Mrs. Lian's house. I don't like that Long at all, yet we have to go work for his family." After this, neither husband nor wife spoke another word. In the small house, only the steady breaths of their 3 youngest children, who were now fast asleep, could be heard. The hen beneath the stilt house crowed again, strangely. Mr. Dai didn't know if Mrs. Mai heard it, but he muttered, "A crowing hen is a bad omen? Tomorrow I'm putting you in the pot. A bad omen for you, but a good omen for me, because my family will have a delicious meal. That's all there is to it." Meanwhile, in the storage shed, Lan was still tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The young girl's mind was filled with the image of a flashy, tattooed, fierce-looking young man, dressed stylishly, and his sweet, seductive words. Long was a worldly playboy from a wealthy family, and he knew how to charm a young girl who had yet to taste love. His gifts, his sweet words, his attention, and his experience easily won over the innocent heart of a young woman just stepping into adulthood. Lan didn't know when it happened, but for several days she had missed him terribly. She didn't know why he was avoiding her, even though she went to work at Mrs. Lian's house with her parents. Lan tried to ask Mrs. Lian, but she also dodged the questions and didn't want to talk about her son. This made Lan extremely confused. No matter what, Long should have told her. Her heart was burning with anticipation. Every now and then, she glanced at the phone beside her, as if waiting. This phone was also a gift from Long. He said it was for them to communicate. After all, few people, especially in Lan's poor village, owned a phone. She didn't want her parents and others to judge her for being a playgirl, but it was a gift from Long, so she couldn't refuse. Lan tossed and turned, unable to sleep. She looked at her younger siblings, sleeping soundly and innocently. Suddenly, there was a faint beep-beep sound, and her phone screen lit up with a text message. "Are you asleep yet? Come out to the banyan tree at the village entrance, let's talk for a bit." Though the name wasn't saved, Lan knew who it was. In those days, few people had mobile phones, but Long had bought Lan a brand new Nokia, as if money was no object for anything he invested in her. Lan was immersed in a rosy dream of love with her boyfriend. Born into a poor family and being the eldest daughter, Lan wanted to help her parents in any way she could. If she could marry Long, it would be like a mouse marrying a rice barn owner. Lan knew Mrs. Lian's family was very wealthy, not just recently rich, but wealthy for generations. Although Long was a bit wild and destructive, it was nothing compared to his mother's immense fortune. Mrs. Lian also knew how to tell fortunes and had an altar. She had quite a few disciples from various places, and sometimes people would ask her to perform rituals. These ceremonies could cost families a lot of money. Recently, Mrs. Lian had built another house on the main road for Long to open his hair salon. Mr. Dai and Mrs. Mai had been hired as bricklayers and went to work there with Lan. That's how Long met Lan. Lan, being pretty, gentle, and honest, had already caught his eye, and he intended to pursue her. However, Lan's parents, Mai and Dai, were hesitant because of Long's troubled past and his playboy habits. They had tried to stop her many times. But Lan, on the other hand, was dazzled by Long's wealth, handsome looks, and charm, and she had fallen for him sometime without realizing it. Because of this, Lan had given Long her virginity. What worried Lan even more was that she was now pregnant. For the past few months, Lan had felt something different about her body, occasionally showing signs like morning sickness. She dared not tell anyone about these unusual symptoms and was still hiding it, but her belly had begun to swell. Lan tried her best to act normal, but often couldn't escape her mother's watchful eyes. But now, Long had disappeared for several days, and she had no way to contact him. Because of this, she felt incredibly uneasy. She wanted to meet Long to resolve this matter once and for all. Following the faint creak of the dry wooden latch, Lan slipped out and went outside. She glanced back at the main house. She knew her parents didn't like Long, partly because of the vast difference in their family backgrounds, and partly because Long was a playboy, a former convict. In those days, in their village, anyone who committed a crime and went to prison was viewed as something monstrous. Especially Long, who had been convicted of murder at a young age. After rejoining the community, Long often gathered young delinquents from the village, causing trouble. People often warned their children and grandchildren not to get involved with Long for fear of being dragged down the path of crime. As she walked, Lan furtively looked back, afraid her parents would find out about her secret rendezvous. It was past midnight, and the surroundings were unusually gloomy. The pale yellow moon shone overhead, and the wind whistled through the ancient banyan trees, their gnarled branches and withered leaves hanging down like skeletal arms. Lan walked slowly along the dirt path to the banyan tree at the village entrance. It was past midnight, and Vin Pha village was silent, save for the occasional rustling of branches in the wind, making eerie creaking sounds. When she arrived, she stopped, looking around for Long but saw no one. Lan could even hear her own heartbeat loudly, and the sound of waves lapping against the riverbank, which was protected by a bamboo hedge in front, created strange shapes that made her heart pound as if it would leap out of her chest. Suddenly, a strange, choked crowing sound came from a hen, as if someone was strangling it, making Lan jump. She looked around and saw a white hen perched above the shrine not far away. Its body had a strangely ominous aura. Its pure white feathers were spotless, yet they shimmered with a cold, silvery hue. Its eyes weren't like those of a normal chicken. They were fiery red and stared intently at Lan, making her feel as if she was being pulled into another realm. It seemed to notice Lan too, its blood-red eyes turning to look at her, making Lan's hair stand on end. Lan held her breath, trying to walk slowly towards the banyan tree, not daring to look at the strange creature. To say she wasn't scared would be a lie. The banyan tree at the head of Vin Pha village in this season was usually ablaze with red flowers, visible from afar. But it was also a place rumored to be inhabited by ghosts and spirits. It was where the bodies of unfortunate individuals who died on the road, or by accident, or who had no relatives to claim them, were buried near the banyan tree for a very long time. For unknown reasons, this banyan tree had been considered sacred for many years. Even for those who drowned in the Red River nearby and whose bodies couldn't be found if their families came here, bowed sincerely, and prayed, the body would surely be found. Because of this, villagers had built a small shrine beneath the banyan tree, where incense burned year-round, and the shrine was regularly cleaned. Lan took out her phone and called Long, but no one answered. As she stood there, unsure of what to do, a sudden noise came from behind the shrine. Lan turned her head and jumped when she saw a gaunt, skinny young man with pale eyes and dark, chapped lips standing by the shrine. Overall, his appearance wasn't particularly handsome, but tonight he looked even stranger. Perhaps it was due to the darkness, so Lan didn't notice this abnormality. But people say that when in love, few want to be ordinary. When one falls in love, even ugliness becomes beauty. For Lan, Long was number one. Although some other young men in the village were interested in her, Lan only liked Long. Partly because he was from a wealthy family and knew how to charm, and partly because he was a smooth talker. That's why Lan had accepted him. "And Long, why did you ask me to come out here in the middle of the night? What's going on?" Lan asked as she approached her boyfriend, her voice tinged with reproach. Long stood there, his eyes sadly fixed on Lan, his lips moving as if to say something. As Lan got closer, she found her boyfriend even stranger. He had been missing for days, yet he asked her to meet him here in the middle of the night. She noticed he was wearing all white, even his shoes were pure white. This made Lan feel that he wasn't himself tonight. "It's late, why did you ask me to come out here? Couldn't you have waited until tomorrow? And why are you wearing these clothes? You look like a ghost, I'm scared. And where have you been these past few days? I couldn't reach you." Lan reproached her boyfriend, pulling off a banana leaf and sitting on the grass. He sat down beside her. A cold sensation made Lan feel strange and confused. The pale moonlight overhead and the increasingly cold night air intensified the chill. Lan sat with her knees drawn up, hugging herself. After a while, seeing that her boyfriend hadn't spoken, she said, "Say something. Why did you ask me to come here and then say nothing? Where have you been these past few days? If you don't say anything, I'm going home. It's late. My parents will kill me if they find out I'm out here. Do you know how much I love you to dare to come out here? Don't do this, I'm scared." Lan grumbled, pulling at a blade of grass, her voice sounding as if she was about to cry. Before Lan could finish, Long's hand reached out and tightly grasped hers. This made Lan shiver, her whole body freezing because Long's hand was incredibly cold. Even though it was warm when she touched it, she felt an inexplicable chill. Before she could react, Long spoke, but his voice today sounded strange to Lan. She stared intently at her boyfriend for a while but couldn't find anything unusual about him. Long's voice echoed, "There's something I need to tell you. If I don't, it will be too late." "Do you trust me?" "Tell me, I'm listening. If I didn't trust you, why would I be here? If I didn't trust you, why would I carry your child in my womb? I was going to meet you to tell you this anyway." "I'm pregnant," Lan stammered, not daring to look into Long's eyes, feeling her heart beat faster than ever. "Do you love me? Do you want to come with me? We'll live together, die together. You are the first girl I've truly loved and want to marry. I've lived for decades in this world and never felt truly at peace. My family already has a fully stocked altar with incense, just waiting for you." "What strange things are you saying? Why are you talking about life and death?" "Life is still long, I don't want to die yet. I want to see our child born," Lan said. But Long's voice echoed, "If you agree, I'll talk to my mother. She'll arrange our wedding. You don't have to worry. My family is rich and capable in the spiritual world. I want to be buried in my family's ancestral tomb when I die, not just anywhere." Lan felt confused, her mind numb. She didn't know what to say, feeling her boyfriend was not himself today. Only a few days apart, and he had suddenly become deranged. Or was it true what the villagers of Vin Pha said, that he often did drugs and his mind was affected? "Is this a marriage proposal, Long? If you propose like that, I won't agree. Do you know that people in love propose with flowers and rings and sweet vows? I've never seen anyone like you. If you talk like that, who would agree? I have to think about it, and my parents too. I'm scared," Lan pouted, turning her face away. Long was silent, then sighed softly. "I promise you, if you just agree, I'll protect us both. I can't come home now, but you'll understand later." Long whispered into Lan's ear, but the girl still seemed annoyed and wanted to hear more, just picking at the grass, thinking. After a moment, she replied, "Where have you been? Why haven't you come home yet? Are you and your mother fighting? I don't want my boyfriend to always depend on his mother. A man should be independent and self-reliant. If you can't even take care of yourself, how can you take care of me? If you're still like this, I won't agree. I'm not a child anymore. If you're not serious, then fine. I'll tell my mother about the baby in my belly. I'll abort it." After saying this, Lan fell silent, waiting for her boyfriend to respond. But Long never did. When she looked up, he was gone. This made Lan angry and scared. She burst into tears. "Long, where did you go? Why did you ask me to come out here just to say such meaningless things? I hate you. If you don't show up tomorrow, I'll take everything you gave me to Mrs. Lian's house and break up with you. Are you going to abandon me and the baby in my belly? Do you think I've forgotten the things you said?" Lan regretted saying these words. She truly loved him. But contrary to Lan's thoughts, looking around, she only saw a small, desolate shrine with a flickering oil lamp casting an eerie light. Behind the shrine was a huge banyan tree. Occasionally, large banyan roots fell from above with soft thuds, making Lan jump even more. If you don't come out, I'm going home. I'm really going home. We have nothing more to say. Lan, go home, my dear. We'll meet soon. I love you. Don't be late. We haven't met yet. This voice made Lan startled, then her hair stood on end. It was Long's voice, but it echoed as if from some deep abyss. Lan looked around, searching for her boyfriend, then curious, she walked towards the shrine and circled the banyan tree, but there was no one there. At this moment, she truly felt scared of her boyfriend. She burst into tears and ran home. She didn't know if she was scared or angry at her boyfriend. Before leaving, Lan cried out, "Why aren't you coming out to meet me? Where are you? You bastard, I hate you." As Lan's figure disappeared, Long emerged from behind the shrine. But now he was a faint, translucent shadow, as if a gentle gust of wind could make him vanish. He watched Lan's receding figure and whispered, "I'm sorry, my love, I can't. I'm no longer alive, but I promise to protect you for the rest of your life. We will be reunited. I love you." Lan's mind was completely blank. She hadn't even considered that Long was dead. She still believed that Long had abandoned her, a scoundrel, a complete bastard. Why wouldn't Long answer her questions? As she walked and cried, Lan was filled with immense pain. She regretted being so naive, trusting him, and giving him the most precious thing a girl could offer. The pale moonlight overhead cast strange shadows on the ground. As she passed the big tree where the hen had been, Lan suddenly heard its strange, choked crowing again. This time, it truly terrified her, as if she had suddenly awakened. Lan shivered, wanting to rush home. Suddenly, ahead of her, a group of young men stood clumped together, smoking. Their faces were flushed as if they had been drinking. Seeing a girl walking from the riverbank towards the village, several of them exchanged glances, their eyes glinting, and whispered, "Look, look. This one looks delicious. Whose daughter is she, or where did she come from?" Their lustful eyes stared intently at the girl. Lan seemed to have noticed the group of young men early on, so she wanted to walk past them quickly, not daring to look at them. Back then, no young girl dared to walk alone in the middle of the night because these young men would find every way to harass them. "Hey, where are you going? Do you want a ride home? Walking alone at night like this, aren't you afraid of being grabbed?" A bald-headed man with a scar, Minskar, suddenly jumped out and blocked her path. He seemed to be their leader, his eyes narrowed as he spoke to Lan. But Lan, terrified, dared not say anything, trying to quickly walk past him. However, this man didn't let her. He reached out to block her, and another man immediately ran back and suddenly pulled Lan into their midst. "Hey, pretty girl, let us touch you a little, okay?" "Please let me go, I'm from this village," Lan cried out. "Oh, look at this one, she's actually quite something," Minskar mumbled to himself. Minskar was known as a mischievous and often violent leader of the young delinquents in Vinh Pha, often leading them to other villages to fight. His eyes, narrowed to slits, gazed at the girl's chest, which was heaving up and down with fear. As if feeling his gaze, she quickly tried to pull her eye closed, but this action only inflamed his lust, like a tiger stalking its prey. He licked his lips and said, "All right, let each of us touch you twice. If you let us touch you, we'll let you go. You won't lose anything and you'll benefit. Aren't you afraid? It's your fault for wandering around alone in the middle of the night. Don't you know this village is notorious for these roughnecks? It's useless to resist." Minskar finished speaking, and the other young men began to close in on the panicked girl. Suddenly, one of them recognized Lan and quickly said, "Minskar, this is Dai and Mai's daughter. Let her go, Min. Dai and Mai have 7 children, and this is their eldest daughter, isn't she? Oh, they have several pretty daughters, and the eldest just had a baby. She's dating that long. Damn it, talk about a toad marrying a swan. How did he manage to get such a beautiful girlfriend? What luck. Too bad he won't be enjoying it anymore." One of the men, Fuang, began to ramble. Minskar narrowed his eyes at his subordinate. The others, seeing this, immediately backed away, not daring to say more. All the surrounding henchmen looked at him with an alert expression. Minskar stared intently at the girl, then his ruthless eyes turned to Lan, whose face was now pale as if she was about to cry. "Hey, you, is it true that you're dating Long?" Lan looked up at him, her eyes filled with worry, and then she stammered, "Yes, I'm Lan, Long's girlfriend. Please let me go. I just met Long. He asked me to meet him at the banyan tree by the village entrance." "What? You just met Long? He asked you to meet him at the banyan tree at the village entrance? You're lying." one of the young men blurted out, but then remembered something and fell silent. The others also looked at each other, their eyes filled with disbelief. Yes, he and I just talked for a while. He told me he's going to marry me. He said we would live together, die together. You know Long, right? If you know him, please let me go home. Lan seemed to think that since these young men knew her boyfriend, they would let her go. But Min Scar suddenly grabbed Lan's wrist, his narrow, ruthless eyes staring intently at her. Lead us to the spot where you met him, then we'll let you go. Otherwise, don't blame us. We've been looking for him for days. What are you going to do to him? What are you going to do? Lan asked, her voice now trembling with a hint of fear. Min Scar turned to his subordinate. You guys go check what happened there. I don't believe these strange stories. His hand, thick as a pair of tongs, gripped her wrist tightly, making it impossible to escape. Lan stammered, Don't pull my arm, you're hurting me, I'll lead you. Min Scar then released her hand and turned to his henchmen, signaling them with his eyes. All of them looked at each other, clearly confused. As people say, a guilty conscience needs no accuser. One of them even hesitated to return to the place where they had committed their crime. However, under the pressure of their leader, the whole group reluctantly followed. It felt as if all the young men no longer had their menacing demeanor from before. Instead, each of them seemed worried, partly because the alcohol in their systems had worn off, and partly because they were terrified by the girl's words. The moonlight overhead cast a strange, dark shadow moving slowly on the long, sprawling roots. The rustling of leaves and the sounds in the dense bamboo groves on both sides of the road created an incredibly eerie and oppressive atmosphere. Lan walked ahead, her small figure moving with heavy steps. Tears welled up in her eyes and streamed down her face. She didn't know what was happening. Hearing the bloodthirsty young men talk like that, she had a premonition that something big and difficult to resolve had happened to Long, her boyfriend. Long was a formidable character in the village. Didn't these guys fear him? She remembered how Long used to have many followers and commanded immense respect. What could have happened that they were looking for him? Or was it because of this that Long dared not come home? A flurry of questions flooded Lan's mind, but she dared not ask, only furtively glancing at them. If she were to confront them directly, she might be in danger herself. As Lan walked, she also paid attention to the spot where the hen had been, but it was no longer there. Her mind wandered, lost in thought. Looking ahead, she saw the large dike blocking their way, and the bamboo groves on the other side were already faintly visible, with the moon peeking through, casting a pale light. The wind from the river made Lan shiver. She pulled her ao dai tightly around her body, revealing her graceful figure. Normally, this would certainly attract the attention of those mischievous, bloodthirsty young men, but now, strangely, no one bothered to look at Lan. No one spoke a word. The atmosphere was unusually eerie. After a while, the group reached the desolate shrine under the ancient banyan tree at the head of the village. The surroundings were silent as the grave. Inside the shrine, the oil lamp still cast a faint, flickering light. Where is Long? He and I sat here and talked. The banana leaf I peeled is still here. This is where I sat, and Long sat next to me, Lan said, pointing to the grass by the roadside to Min Scar. Lan was about to ask, but Min Scar paid no attention to her. He walked towards his henchmen and furiously asked, What's going on, you guys? Just a few days ago, we killed him. Why is this girl saying she met him and talked to him? Could it be his ghost returning? What ghost? Nonsense. Who still believes those old stories? Dead is dead. One of them stepped forward and said, Damn it, watch your mouth. Why are you trembling now after hearing what that girl said? Where's your bravery from earlier? Another man immediately scolded him, making the first man shut up. Or maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just scared of us and ran away. Are you crazy? Who could survive after having their head smashed in like that? Not to mention, we injected him with a syringe full of drugs and then tied rocks to him and threw him into the river to drown. We all saw it clearly. If he's not dead, then he must be a deity, not a human. And the money we took from him wasn't small. We've only been partying for a few days. One of them, a bit clumsy and limping, spoke up, his voice tinged with reproach towards Min Scar. It was mainly because this man hated Long. Long was the one who killed Min Scar's older brother back in high school. But because Mrs. Lian's family was wealthy and Long's crime was committed when he was a minor, he was released after only a few years. This made Min Scar resentful and determined to get revenge. So, what about the girl saying she met Long and talked to him? How do you explain that? I don't know, but I'm sure he's dead. At this, the whole group looked at each other, no one saying another word, but their eyes clearly showed confusion. They didn't know how to explain this strange event. The group decided to immediately return to the river. The water was high this season due to upstream dams releasing water, so the usually gentle Red River had become unusually fierce. Looking down at the turbulent, murky river in front of them and feeling the wind whipping their faces, everyone sobered up. But now they felt an inexplicable fear. Minskar quickly said, "Could that girl be lying, or is she leading us on? Let's go back and catch her and shut her up. What if she suspects us? This is no joke. Let's go back and catch her, or we'll go to her house and finish this. Otherwise, we'll all be jailed." But when they turned back, Lan was nowhere to be found. She had taken advantage of their distraction to run into the bamboo grove, then made her way alone through the tall riverbanks and took another path home. This made the young men even more terrified. Their minds were filled with sinister thoughts. Each of them had a murderous look in their eyes, but at that moment, they heard a splash and someone screaming, "Fuang, help! I've fallen into the water." The whole group turned back to rescue Fuang, who was now struggling in the river. He was clinging to some bamboo branches and pebbles in front of him, trying to hold on, but the current was strong and he was losing strength quickly. "Who knows how to swim? Jump in and save him. Otherwise, he'll drown right now," Min Scar yelled. Immediately, one of them jumped in and swam towards Fuang, but after only a few strokes, he slowly sank. Two others on the bank jumped in, but like their comrade, they were swept away by the current. All of them inexplicably disappeared underwater. On the bank, Minskar, panicked, quickly pulled off his belt, intending to throw it to his henchmen to pull them ashore, but the belt was too short, and his men were being pushed further away by the current. As he stood there, unsure of what to do, he suddenly felt something behind him. He turned abruptly and saw a figure not far away. What startled Minskar was that this figure was wearing white clothes, with red bloodstains, and the pale moonlight reflected from the water's surface made him feel a sense of familiarity. Immediately, Minskar began to beg, "Long, please save them. Don't let them drown." But the figure suddenly vanished without a word, making Minskar shiver. As if remembering something, Minskar recalled that this was the exact spot where he and his 4 accomplices had drowned Long's body. The images of Long being brutally beaten by these henchmen, his head nearly smashed, then tied with rocks and thrown into the river, all flashed before his eyes like a slow-motion film, making Minskar freeze. He knelt down, his lips trembling, trying to say something, but it was too late. As if hypnotized and confused, Minskar jumped into the river. A moment later, he disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, after a long detour through the bamboo groves, Lan had escaped from the murderers. But now she was like a lost soul because of the story they had whispered. Lan realized that Long had disappeared these past few days because of them. Perhaps because he died a wrongful, unfulfilled death, Long's spirit had returned. But now, her parents were standing at the gate, waiting for her. Both of them looked at her intently. Mrs. Mai even carefully walked around her daughter, as if wanting to check her. "Where have you been? Why are your clothes dirty? What happened? Tell your parents," Mrs. Mai asked, her face grim. Lan stammered, unable to answer. Then she saw her father standing nearby, holding a large rattan cane. She shivered. Mr. Dai's face was dark, looking extremely fierce. "Tell me where you've been. Why were you sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night?" Lan didn't know how to explain to her parents. Like a child caught stealing, she could only stammer, tears streaming down her face like rain, choked with pain. Seeing his wife like that, Mr. Dai looked at her and said, "Go inside, let me talk to our daughter." Mr. Dai heard this and felt pity for his daughter. He knew Lan wasn't a bad kid. She was always obedient, polite, and loved her parents. She had never said a harsh word to them. He sighed deeply, and at that moment he went inside, taking the rattan cane with him. It was meant to be a cane for disciplining children, but he had never used it once. Indeed, such a father was a wonderful thing. "Tell me what happened. Who did you go to meet?" "I just met Long. He asked me to meet him at the banyan tree at the village entrance, but then he left after a few words. I called him but couldn't find him." "What happened, Mom?" Lan cried, not wanting to say that she had been almost assaulted by those bloodthirsty young men, partly out of shame and partly out of fear that they were influential and might seek revenge. "Long, Mrs. Lian's son? How could you meet him?" Mrs. Mai asked, surprised, her eyes wide as if she had just heard a bizarre story. All right, calm down. Now tell me the whole story from beginning to end. What happened with Long? Are you pregnant? I've noticed you've been acting differently lately. Tell me everything so I know how to help. Lan, now as if relieved to unburden herself, said, I met Long, but he didn't treat me badly. He truly loves me, and I love him too. I already gave myself to him. Lan instinctively put her hands over her belly. Mrs. Mai trembled as if about to collapse. This was exactly what she had worried about most. After a moment of silence, she slowly asked, How many months? 3 months already, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. 1 moment of pleasure, 15 minutes of foolishness. What are we going to do now? Everyone in the village knows Long is an unruly boy who went to prison. Fortunately, his family is rich. If they were poor, he would have died in prison. You don't know what kind of magic he used on you that you speak so highly of him. Mrs. Mai pulled Lan into the house. Although she loved her daughter dearly, her voice still held anger and disappointment. Come inside. We'll talk to your father about this face to face. How could you be so foolish? If you do this, who will marry you? What if the whole village gossips that you're a loose girl? How can your parents face anyone? Mr. Dai heard these words from outside the gate. He was stunned, his face looking even more exhausted with more gray hairs. He usually stuffed tobacco into his pipe and smoked, but now Mr. Dai couldn't smoke, especially after hearing that Lan was pregnant with Long's child. But even worse, Mrs. Lian, Long's mother, had just come to inform them that her son had died. This made the couple immediately call Lan to talk, but when they looked into the shed, Lan was nowhere to be found. That's why the couple was waiting at the gate. Neither of them knew that their daughter had just narrowly escaped being assaulted by those brutal men. Honey, Lan just said she met Long and they talked. How can this be? It's so illogical. Mrs. Mai's voice made Mr. Dai jump. The pipe in his hand fell to the ground and shattered. What? Lan met Long. Mrs. Lian just came to our house and said Long died. We both heard it, didn't we? Mr. Dai trembled, looking at his daughter, then at his wife. He couldn't believe his ears. Earlier, he was sure his daughter had probably heard the news and gone to Mrs. Lian's house to inquire, never thinking Lan had met Long. Tell me, daughter, this isn't right. Mrs. Lian just came here, crying heartbrokenly. She said Long died. For the past few nights, she's been dreaming of his ghost. But today, they found Long's body at a friend's house and they don't know the cause yet. You said you met him earlier. Is this true, daughter? Mr. and Mrs. Dai both looked at Lan with worried eyes. Lan was like a lost soul, her whole body trembling, unable to explain. I'm telling the truth. He texted me to meet him at the banyan tree at the village entrance, and after a few words, he left. I don't know what happened. Lan pulled out her phone to show them the message, but strangely, the message was gone. This made Lan even more confused. What in the world is going on? The news of Long's death is accurate. Tell me the truth, daughter, did you really meet him? You have to tell us the truth so your parents can find a solution. Lan's face turned pale, her whole body numb, her mind blank, unable to express her feelings. She loved him so deeply. Lan was undoubtedly captivated by him. He was a charming man, devoted to her, and very generous. On top of that was the baby in her belly. After all, Long was the first to open the door to the innocent heart of a young girl like Lan. After crying and being silent for a while, Lan said, I'm telling you, it's 100% true. I sat under the banyan tree near the shrine. We talked for a while, then he disappeared. My goodness, daughter, don't you know that banyan tree is very sacred? There are many spirits there. Even we avoid that path at night. And you went out there in the middle of the night? What kind of relationship is this? Mrs. Mai scolded her daughter, but her voice couldn't hide her concern and worry. Mr. Dai sighed. Lan definitely met a ghost. Long must have died an unnatural death, so his spirit called her out. We need to ask Mrs. Lian about this soon, otherwise it won't be good. Oh, if we follow his lead, it'll be exhausting. What else did he say to you? Did he make any promises? Lan was startled when her father asked this. Yes, she said, still not believing in ghosts. When she was little, she sometimes heard ghost stories from adults and she was scared, but she always thought they were just stories to scare children. But now, after witnessing her boyfriend's ghost with her own eyes, she fully believed. No wonder I felt something strange when we talked. If I hadn't experienced this directly, I wouldn't have believed it was real. I need to go to his house now. I know who killed Long. Lan then recounted the entire story of meeting the group of men, how they forced her to lead them to the shrine near the banyan tree, and how she managed to escape. Mr. and Mrs. Dai were stunned, looking at each other, then at Lan. They seemed unable to believe what they had just heard. "You're telling the truth? It was Min Scar and some other men from our village." "Yes, what should we do now, Mom and Dad?" Mr. Dai was shocked when his daughter said this. He immediately ran outside, grabbed a large stick and a knife and instructed them, "We must remain calm about this. If what Lan says is true, then this could be real. Min Scar's family and Mrs. Lian's family have a long-standing feud. Long, Mrs. Lian's son, stabbed Min Scar's older brother to death when they were in high school. Perhaps Min Scar wanted to take revenge for his brother. Tomorrow, I'll go to the commune committee and tell Uncle Dat, the head of the village police. He'll know what to do." Mrs. Mai and Lan both looked worried, but Mr. Dai said, "For now, tonight, our whole family must be careful. We'll all sleep in one room in case they try to harm Lan." Mr. Dai went to the gate, found a chain, and locked it. He also let out their guard dog because he was quite worried that Min Scar's gang would come to their house. "What should I do now, Mom? I'm sorry, it's all my fault that our family is in danger. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I'm a disobedient, spoiled daughter," Lan cried, terrified, unable to believe that things had come to this. Mrs. Mai took her daughter's hand and said, "Mrs. Lian came here at midnight, remember? She told your father and me not to go to work tomorrow. Now they've announced that her son Long is dead, and she's rushing back. Mother didn't even get to ask her anything before she left. Let's talk about this in the morning. For now, you must be careful. Do you remember Mrs. Lian said you would face misfortune this year? She warned you to be careful. Could this be it?" Mrs. Mai burst into tears, looking at her daughter, who was now so terrified that her whole body trembled, unsure of what to do. Mr. Dai also fell into deep thought. The atmosphere in the house was incredibly tense, as if every breath could be heard. "Did Long say anything else? Did he make you promise anything?" Lan recounted everything she had said to Long, then emphasized a particular sentence, her voice trembling. "He asked me if I wanted to be his mother's daughter-in-law. He asked if I wanted to be buried in his family's ancestral tomb when I die." Mr. and Mrs. Dai turned pale when they heard their daughter's words. Suddenly, she uttered another sentence that made them almost faint on the spot. "His family already has a fully stocked altar with incense, just waiting for me. He's dead. So, Long has chosen you now? This is troublesome." Mr. Dai and Mrs. Mai exchanged glances, unable to hide their dismay. No matter what, Lan was their own daughter. They had to find a way to protect her at all costs. Meanwhile, at a relative's house of Mrs. Lian, people's discussions and the sound of hammering made the atmosphere even more tense. In the eyes of everyone in Mrs. Lian's extended family, there was a mix of belief and disbelief about Long, her son, having been missing for a few days. It was common for him to be absent from home. But this time, Mrs. Lian had gone from house to house, announcing that her son had met with an accident and died days ago, which made everyone present perplexed. Mrs. Lian was crying heartbrokenly. Her older brother, Mr. Lamb, a lifelong atheist, had a long-standing conflict with his sister. As a village official and a member of the Committee for Propaganda Against Superstition, he was often embarrassed by his sister's constant defiance, which had even led to him being disciplined multiple times by his superiors. Because of this, Mr. Lamb didn't like Mrs. Lian or her son at all. Not to mention Long's destructive and wild past, and his younger brother Lan dying from a drug overdose. Mr. Lamb, being on the committee, was often negatively affected by his nephew's actions. "Just calm down and deal with this. I really don't believe any of this. Did you see Long die with your own eyes? Did someone tell you he died? Or did you just dream it? I don't know what's going on, but this whole thing about you believing in omens is not good at all. It's all just superstitious nonsense. One must live by facts, not by fantasies, or maybe you're being tricked by him. If he died, I'm sure everyone in Vin Pha village would be happy. People fear him, not his ghost. He's dead, isn't he?" Mrs. Lian, hearing her brother's words, glared, exasperated. "My goodness, how can you say such heartless things? No matter what, he's still your nephew. Long is your nephew." "Who told you Long died? Tell me, how did he die? If you don't explain, you'll be dead to me." Mr. Lamb now showed his annoyance, furious that she was making him lose sleep. "I dreamed of him for the past 3 days. Tonight, he stood outside the gate and dared not enter our house. I called him, and he said he died and couldn't return home yet. He has to wait for 49 days, and then I must perform a soul-calling ritual for him to be able to come back. He said he needed to report to me about those who harmed him." I knew it, dreams and all that nonsense. I don't believe in any of that. It has nothing to do with me. If dreams caused people to die, then everyone in the village would be dead. How many people dream every day? Which dreams are real? Some people only dream about peeing. Mr. Lamb looked at his sister, his eyes blazing with anger. But then, a voice echoed, and the already tense atmosphere became even more suffocating. Mrs. Lien seemed to lose her argument because she herself was a geomancer, but no one in her family believed her, just like the saying, "A monk is not revered in his own temple." Although she didn't claim to be excellent, she knew she had psychic abilities and could communicate with spirits. "You misunderstand, brother. It's not that I dream people to death, it's that the dead seek out my dreams, especially when they trust me. When others trust me, they come to me for help, but you always harbor prejudice against me. And now, my own son, your nephew, Long, came back to warn me. How can I not believe it?" Mr. Lamb frowned but said nothing. Several people in the house seemed convinced by Mrs. Lien's words. Then Mrs. Hong, one of the relatives, spoke up to Mr. Lamb. "So what do you suggest we do now? What happened to Long? Where did it happen? Long said he was murdered, right? He was tied with rocks and thrown into the Red River. I heard him say that, and my legs have been trembling since tonight," Mrs. Lien said, crying. Long was her only support in her old age. After her husband died young, Long lacked the strict guidance of a father. That's why she spoiled her son so much. However, her indulgence was causing Long to slowly lose control and fall deeper into trouble. Now, wiping away tears, she recounted the unbelievable story. "Today is the full moon. I cleaned the altar and heard his voice outside calling Mom. He said he went to the city to buy supplies for his hair salon and was coming home. I called out, 'You're home, Long?' I called 3 or 4 times, but he didn't answer. When I ran outside, he was standing there, pale. I pulled him inside, but he said, 'Mom, your house has divine spirits, so I can't enter. If I enter now, what little soul I have left will vanish.' I couldn't believe it, but Long said his body was in the Red River, right beneath the banyan tree at the village entrance. He said he was trapped there, and it was so cold. He asked everyone to please pull him out. Since tonight, I've been burning with worry. Before I could say anything, he came here and then vanished." Mrs. Lien cried out again, tragically and sorrowfully. After all, no mother would not love her child. Even if he was wild and unruly, a mother's love is unconditional. Perhaps this is also the instinct of parents. "Mom, why did you die? I didn't let you lack for anything. Why did you leave your mother? Now that you're gone, who can I rely on?" Mrs. Lien's heart-wrenching cries made those present, including Mr. Lamb, feel that this story was absurd. "Just calm down, sister. If what you say is true, we will find your nephew's body. But honestly, sister, I still find it all so unbelievable. Sister Hong, even you don't believe me, you've often helped me at the altar, performing many rituals for others. Haven't I helped many people find their loved ones, call their souls, or accurately tell their fortunes?" Mrs. Hong didn't know how to explain this. She just said, "I believe in those things, but this, I don't think it's Long. And did he really die so simply? I always see him leading those young men in this area. Everyone greets him, and Long, and Long. And sometimes I even saw him taking Dai and Mai's daughter Lan to town. They were hugging tightly, giggling like lovebirds. Long was so arrogant when he had a girl on his arm. But that Lan, she's quite pretty, charming, and polite, always greeting everyone. The only thing is her family has so many siblings. If Long could marry Lan, it would be a good match. What a good-natured, beautiful, hardworking, obedient girl. If I had a son, I'd tell him to go get to know her first, no joke." It was unclear if Mrs. Hong was deliberately changing the subject to help Mrs. Lien forget about Long, but she suddenly brought up Lan. But as soon as Lan was mentioned, Mrs. Lien's demeanor changed. "Lan, Long told me he wanted to marry Lan. He also said that Lan was 3 months pregnant with his child. I haven't had a chance to ask her clearly about this. If she's my grandchild, I will raise the baby, but I'm just afraid Lan will do something foolish like aborting the child. Her family is working for mine now. I really like that girl. She's obedient, hardworking, and knows how to listen. If Long were still alive, I would definitely let her be my daughter-in-law. But now Long is dead. You think your son is so valuable, don't you? Everyone in this village knows your son is wild and unruly, all because you spoiled him too much. You're so arrogant, treating other people's daughters as if you could just pick them up at the market like common goods," Mr. Lamb said sarcastically. But Mrs. Lien dared not say more and just sat there crying. A moment later, Mr. Lamb's entire family, along with Mrs. Lian and her children and grandchildren, and those present began to move towards the Red River, near the shrine where Mrs. Lian claimed Long's body lay. Everyone, half believing and half doubting, followed her up to the village entrance. Dogs barked furiously, their barks mingling with the shuffling footsteps and stifled sobs, creating an eerie atmosphere in the normally peaceful countryside. When they arrived, looking at the elevated Red River, its waters swirling furiously, everyone was startled. Mr. Lamb whispered, "With such high water, how can we find his body? Do you know exactly where he is?" But Mrs. Lian suddenly burst into tears, pointing towards the bamboo grove near the shrine. "Over there, Long is standing there, and there are 5 other men with him, all from this village. Oh my God." After saying this, Mrs. Lian fainted immediately, and her relatives quickly carried her home. The next day, a search party was organized by the families to recover the bodies. And just as Mrs. Lian had said, deep beneath the river, besides Long's body, there were also the bodies of 5 other young men. Strangely, their bodies were tightly intertwined and had not been swept away by the current. When the young men's bodies were pulled ashore, all of them had wide, staring eyes, a clear look of horror on their faces, as if they had witnessed something truly terrifying. Lan, despite not marrying, decided to keep the baby. Mrs. Lian asked Mr. and Mrs. Dai for permission for Lan and her baby to live with her. From then on, the story of the vengeful spirits in the river was still told. The abandoned shrine in Vinh Pha village became even more sacred, rebuilt and revered. Every year, anyone who drowned in that river, if their family prayed earnestly, their wishes would surely be granted.